The Charter Age was built on a single, luminous truth in the cold vacuum of space. Humanity was the only warmth, and to harm those who tended its flame was a sin against survival itself. The Earth Alliance had etched this truth into interstellar law. Medical vessels were inviolate, their corridors sacrosanct. This was the gospel that allowed ships to ply the dark, and it was the gospel that had, for 50 years, held the sprawling, ancient Aurelian Empire in a tense but stable diplomatic dance. Empress Seraphine, sovereign of the Aurelian core, understood this truth intellectually. She had studied the human obsession with it. But from her position on the observation dais of the imperial spire, truth felt less luminous and more geometric. Below her, the parade of celestial concordance unfolded across the Capitol Plaza. It was a spectacle of perfect, rigid lines. 10,000 elite guards, clad in obsidian armor, marched in formations that defied human intuition, their movements timed to the resonant chime of crystal harmonics. Above them, ceremonial frigates painted the sky with precisely angled plasma plumes. It was beautiful, Seraphine acknowledged. And it was suffocating. She was young, far younger than the stern, ancestral faceplate she wore for court. Beneath the heavy ceremonial robes, she was a woman of 24 years, brimming with a curiosity her station deemed hazardous. She was fascinated by the humans, not the stiff ambassadors she met in controlled halls, but the chaotic, messy, vibrant idea of them. The ones who valued scars over symmetry, who found humor in disaster, and who, she had read in a restricted text, drank a bitter burnt infusion of beans to chase the hauntings away. A subtle, cool pressure manifested at her left. Malachar Dreg, the Lord Regent, had moved closer. He did not need to speak. His proximity was a correction. "Your halo is wavering, Highness," he murmured, his voice a vibration against the spire's ambient sound field. Seraphine instinctively stiffened. The halo was the Aurelian symbol of authority, a shimmering disk of coherent light that hovered behind the head of every highborn. It was not technology, but a focused projection of will and lineage. Hers. A brilliant sapphire flickered for a moment, betraying her boredom. She steadied it, forcing the light into the perfect, unwavering circle her ancestors demanded. Malachar's own halo was a deep, unsettling crimson, as sharp and stable as a shard of cut glass. "The precision is admirable, Lord Regent," she said, her voice amplified by the dais for the crowds below. 300 years, and the sequence has not varied by even a single microsecond. Malachar Dreg inclined his head. "Constancy is the armor of the Empire. Highness, fluctuation is weakness. The humans would do well to learn this." Seraphine resisted the urge to sigh. The veiled reference was clear. Her private inquiries into Earth customs, her request for unedited human media feeds, had been noted and, as always, gently censured. Malachar ruled her through 1,000 daily rituals, a web of tradition so thick it left no room for her own will. She was an empress in name, a prisoner in protocol. Across the city, in the sterile, functional quiet of the Earth Alliance Embassy, Alex Mercer was actively ignoring protocol. He was, by every official metric, a nobody. Attaché, third class, Office of Intersystem Trade. His desk was in a windowless alcove. His official duties consisted of translating Aurelian shipping manifests and ensuring the embassy's coffee synthesizer was calibrated to produce a brew that was, in the words of the ambassador, less than 90% sludge. Alex, however, was running a private calibration. He bypassed the official synthesizer using a small, ancient heating element and a ceramic drip cone he guarded with his life. He was brewing his own haunting chaser, It was a dark, oily roast from a long-dead Earth colony. And the aroma alone was enough to make his assistant's eyes water. For Alex, the ritual was a meditation. The precision of the pour, the exact temperature of the water, the familiar bitterness, it was an anchor. He was a quiet man, easily overlooked. He kept his head down, his reports filed on time, and his opinions to himself. His colleagues, diplomats trained in loud negotiation and backslapping camaraderie, found him unremarkable. They joked about his coffee, traded stories about his almost comical avoidance of embassy functions, and left him alone. They did not see the mind behind the mild brown eyes. They did not know that Alex Mercer, third-class attaché, was a fiction. The real Alex Mercer was the inheritor of a legacy so secret, so powerful, that its very existence was whispered as myth in the darkest corners of Alliance intelligence. He was the guardian of the charter key. The key was not a physical object, but a complex, biological and quantum-entangled cipher embedded in his DNA. It was a fail-safe, created by the Charter's original architects, granting its bearer one devastating right, the authority to access and command the Shadow Fleet, a network of classified forces and ancient defense systems that most of the galaxy believed was nothing more than a ghost story told to frighten pirates. Alex sipped the scalding coffee, the bitterness flooding his senses. He did not want the power. He hated it. It was a legacy of death and responsibility passed down to him by a father he barely knew. He had taken this post, the lowest, most boring assignment he could find, precisely to ensure he would never, ever have to use it. He just wanted to be a man who made coffee and filed reports. A panicked shout shattered the embassy's morning calm. Unconfirmed report, Sector 4, Aurelian border. A communications officer yelled, his voice cracking. Code Crimson, I repeat. Code Crimson. Alex felt the floor drop out of his stomach. He left his coffee on his desk and moved. Not running, but walking with a speed that seemed to bend the space around him. He arrived in the central command hub just as the fragmented distress call clawed its way through the static. The voice was digitized, screaming. Attacked. We are under fire. This is Earth Alliance medical vessel Nightingale. We are in the designated safe corridor. We are unarmed. We are... The voice dissolved into a shriek of tearing metal and collapsing energy fields. Where is the fleet escort? The ambassador bellowed, his face pale. They were attacked first, sir, the officer replied, his hands flying across the console. The corridor is gone. Jamming signals. Aurelian signature, but it is old. It is banned. Heavy particle disruption. They are not responding. The room fell silent. The Nightingale, a hospital ship. 5,000 souls, mostly civilian medical staff, and patients from a dozen different species, in a safe corridor. Alex felt the blood drain from his face. The charter, the one law. Get me high command, the ambassador ordered, his voice trembling with rage. Get me fleet command. Get me everyone. I want retribution. I want... Sir, the officer whispered, his face ashen as he stared at his screen. The Nightingale. Her signal is gone. Total loss. No life pods detected. The jamming signal is... It is originating from inside Aurelian territory. A new sound filled the room. A low, pervasive vibration. It was not coming from the speakers. It was in the walls, in the floor, in the teeth. What is that? Someone asked. Alex was already moving to the window. He did not need to see. He knew. On the Imperial spire, the parade had frozen. The crystal chimes had stopped. Malachor Dreg was the first to look up. Empress Seraphine followed his gaze. The bright, blue sky of Aurelian Prime was gone. It had not clouded over. It had been erased. Where the sun had been, there was now a void, a vast geometric and utterly silent blackness. Ship after ship after ship, translating from jump space with pinpoint, impossible accuracy, emerged not with a roar, but with the terrifying finality of a closing door. They were Earth Alliance vessels, not diplomatic cruisers or trade ships. They were heavy carriers, dreadnoughts, and stealth frigates. They positioned themselves in a perfect, interlocking grid, blotting out the sun, casting the imperial capital in a cold, artificial twilight. The entire city shuddered, the resonant frequency of thousands of jump drives settling into the planet's crust. This was not a diplomatic visit. This was not a request for discussion. This was an accusation delivered by 1,000 guns. This was the Earth Alliance, enraged, arriving uninvited. "Highness," Malachar Dreg said, his voice perilously calm, his crimson halo burning bright against the new darkness. "It appears the barbarians have forgotten their manners." Seraphine did not hear him. She stared at the impossible fleet hanging above her. This was the humanity she had been curious about. This was the power they held in reserve, a power that could turn off a star. She felt a cold, unfamiliar emotion twist in her gut. It was not just fear, it was awe. In the Earth Embassy, chaos erupted. People were shouting, some were weeping. The ambassador was on a direct channel to Earth, his face purple, demanding authority to declare war. Alex Mercer ignored it all. He slipped back to his quiet, windowless office. The half-finished cup of coffee was still steaming. He sat at his terminal, his fingers tapping a rhythm on the desk. "No," he whispered to himself. "Do not fire first. Do not make their mistake." His screen was blank, awaiting a standard embassy login. Alex placed his right palm on a seemingly inert section of his desk. There was no scanner, no light. But the desk read his palm, his DNA, the unique quantum signature of the key. His terminal flickered. The mundane trade manifest interface vanished, replaced by a deep, starless black. A single, pulsing blue line appeared. "Charter key authenticated." "Standing by," Alex typed, his fingers flying with a speed that belied his calm exterior. He was not logging into the embassy network. He was not contacting the ambassador. He was bypassing 36 levels of command, slicing through fleet encryptions, and opening a direct, Priority 1 channel to the lead dreadnought currently hanging over the Imperial Palace. His screen flashed. Connection established. Admiral Nyla Reyes. A face appeared, hard, seamed with anger, and utterly ruthless. Admiral Reyes did not look surprised to be contacted by a third-class attaché. The charter key announced its user's authority before a word was spoken. "This is Mercer," Alex said, his voice low, steady. "The Nightingale was a charter violation. We respond. We do not retaliate. You are to hold your position. You will not power weapons. You will not deploy strike craft. You will not fire first. Confirm." The Admiral's eyes, black as the void outside, bored into him. "Attaché," she growled, the word an insult. "We have 5,000 dead. The fleet is demanding blood. I am demanding it." "And you will not get it," Alex said, the coldness in his own voice surprising him. "We are not Malachar Dreg. We are not a mob. We are the protectors of the Charter. You hold your line, Admiral. That is an order." He cut the connection before she could reply. He leaned back, his body shaking. The adrenaline was a toxic burn in his veins. He had done it. He had used the key. The quiet life he had built for himself was over. He reached for his coffee, his hand trembling so hard he almost knocked it over. A new notification pinged on his secure terminal. It was not from the fleet. It was not from the embassy. The source was listed as null, anonymous, encrypted, and routed through a dozen dead letter drops in the Aurelian network. He opened it. There was no text. Only a small, compressed audio file. Alex put on his headphones, his heart hammering. He hit play. A voice filled his ears. It was distorted, filtered through jamming static. But the cadence was unmistakable. It was Aurelian, pompous, archaic, precise. By the divine right of the core, we cleanse this vessel. The weak will not infect the strong. The charter is a lie. We... But there was something else. Beneath the Aurelian cadence, beneath the distortion, there was an inflection, a pattern of speech, a fractional, almost imperceptible pause between certain words. Alex played it again. And again. He knew that pattern. He had heard it in diplomatic meetings, in trade negotiations, in the forced, formal pleasantries of a dozen empires. But it was not Aurelian. It was something else, cloaked in an Aurelian accent. He closed his eyes, the shaking in his hand stopping, replaced by a deadly, icy stillness. He took a slow sip of his now lukewarm coffee. This was not Aurelian, Alex Mercer whispered to the empty, windowless room, while 1,000 warships darkened the sky above. This was someone wanting to burn the charter. The embassy was a pressurized box of controlled panic. Alex Mercer's quiet, windowless office had become its eye. He had summoned the 2 people in the Aurelian system who existed outside the official command structure. 2 people he trusted with his life. "It is a mess, Alex," Dr. Sana Patel said, her voice tight. She was a small woman with intense, empathetic eyes, the chief of medical data for the embassy. She was supposed to be cataloging alien bacteria, not performing digital autopsies. They did not just destroy the Nightingale. They erased it, the energy signature from the weapon. It was not a cutting beam. It was a decohering pulse. It turns alloys, synthetics, and organic matter into component atoms. There was nothing left to recover. "Nothing?" Alex asked. He kept his back to her, staring at the blank wall, his hands clasped behind him. "Less than nothing," Sana said, her voice shaking with a cold fury she did not try to hide. "A cloud of fine particulate, but they were sloppy. The pulse weapon has a massive energy requirement. It leaves an echo, a resonance. The fragments of the Nightingale's final distress call are soaked in it." "Ariadne," Alex said to the air. A voice, smooth and genderless, emanated from a small speaker on Alex's desk. "The resonance is a match. Attaché Mercer. It is, as you suspected, a Mark IV disruptor, Aurelian design, banned by their own imperial decree almost 150 years ago. The energy bleed is chaotic, inefficient. It is like using a miniature sun to light a candle." Ariadne was a strategic artificial intelligence, technically assigned to the embassy for cultural modeling. In reality, she was Alex's partner. "The audio fragment from the anonymous source," Alex said. "The voice. What have you found?" "The syntax is Aurelian High Court," Ariadne replied. "The speaker is attempting to project imperial authority. However, the phoneme gaps are inconsistent. The speaker inserts pauses that are characteristic of a... Wait, this is interesting. A trade dialect from the Cygnus peripheral. A human dialect." "A human," Sana whispered, horrified. "Posing as an Aurelian. Destroying a human hospital ship. A false flag," Alex said, the word tasting like ash. "To start a war. Ariadne, that weapon, the Mark IV, where would they get one?" "The designs are sealed in the Aurelian Imperial Archives," the artificial intelligence said. But the last known functional units, rumored to be in the hundreds, were placed in the Imperial Armory Vault, under the direct authority of the Lord Regent. Alex turned, his face grim. Malachar Dreg. Sana crossed her arms. Alex, you cannot be suggesting. The Regent of the entire Empire. Why, to what end? To the end we are now staring at, Alex said, gesturing to the ceiling. An Earth Alliance fleet is darkening their sky. Their people are terrified. Their council is furious. War creates clarity. It creates enemies. Some people thrive in that. So, what do we do? Sana asked. We find proof, Alex said. Ariadne, focus on the armory. I want to know everything. Inventories, guard shifts, power signatures. Sana, keep digging into that resonance. Find me a fingerprint. I am going to see the ambassador. He is due in a state, Sana warned. I know, Alex said. He is about to get a new handler. In the throne room of the Imperial Spire, the air was thick with the scent of ozonic filters and cold fear. The black grid of the Earth Alliance fleet, visible through the grand crystal canopy, had become the new, permanent sky. Empress Seraphine sat on the sun throne, her small form almost lost in its intricate, golden splendor. Her sapphire halo was a perfect, unwavering circle, a mask of calm she had spent the last hour perfecting. Before her, the entire noble council was assembled, their own halos a flickering constellation of outrage. This insult, boomed Lord Valerius, his own light a furious orange. They hang above us like scavengers. They block our sun, they treat us like a rogue state. You must order them to leave, Highness. A murmur of agreement swept the room. Expel them. Show them our strength. Seraphine looked to her left. Malachar Dreg stood at the base of the throne, his crimson halo a beacon of implacable order. He had said nothing. He did not need to. His silence was an endorsement of the council's rage. And how do you propose I do that, Lord Valerius? Seraphine asked, her voice clear and precise, cutting through the anger. Do I show them our strength by firing on a fleet that has, as of yet, remained silent? They accuse us by their very presence, Valerius countered. They have no right. They have every right, Seraphine said. The room went utterly still. Even Malachar Dreg's halo seemed to pulse, just once. A hospital ship, Seraphine continued, rising from the throne, flying the flag of a charter signatory, was destroyed in a designated safe corridor. The corridor, I will remind you, that we were sworn to protect. The weapon signature is Aurelian. They have a right to be angry. They have a right to be here. The charter is not just a human law, gentlemen. It is interstellar law, and we, as the heart of the core, are its ultimate adherents. The charter, spat another noble, a human document designed to constrain their superiors. The charter, Seraphine said, her voice dropping, is the only reason this system is not already burning. It is the only thing holding back the rage of 1,000 worlds. They have not fired. They are waiting. They are waiting for us to honor the very law they believe we have broken. She looked directly at Malachar Dreg. Lord Regent, you are the head of our defense. What is your counsel? Do we break the charter a second time by attacking a grieving fleet, or do we find the truth? Malachar Dreg bowed, a slow, serpentine movement. Your wisdom is, as ever, luminous, Highness. The Council's passion is understandable, but it is raw. Order must be restored. I will, of course, open a channel to the barbarians. I will explain that this was a tragic misidentification, a pirate action. I will offer them reparations for their loss, on the condition that they remove their shadow from our sky." Seraphine stared at him, a cold knot tightening in her stomach. He was so reasonable, so smooth. He would offer money for 5,000 lives. "You will do no such thing, Lord Regent," she said. "We will not offer reparations, for that implies guilt, and we will not offer excuses, for that implies weakness. We will offer one thing, and one thing only." She turned back to the stunned council. "Cooperation, full, transparent, and immediate. We will open our records. We will assist their investigation. We will find the animals who did this, and we will deliver them to the Alliance, bound in the very chains of the charter they sought to shatter." It was a gamble. She was openly defying the isolationist doctrine that had defined her empire for 1,000 years. She was siding with the law against her own tradition. Malachar Dreg's crimson halo burned. "Highness, such a move. Opening our systems to them? It is unprecedented. It is dangerous. It could be seen as a concession." "It is," Seraphine said. "The only way. See to it." She turned and walked from the throne room, not waiting for a reply. She could feel the heat of their collective outrage on her back. She did not care. For the first time in her life, she had felt the weight of the crown settle, not as a burden, but as a weapon. Alex sat in the embassy's primary command chair, a seat he had no official right to. The ambassador was fuming behind a soundproof shield, talking to Alliance politicians. Alex, for now, was the embassy. On the main screen, two faces stared back at him. Admiral Neela Reyes, her expression carved from granite, and Commander Okoye, his face unreadable, a single scar tracing his jawline. "This is unacceptable, Mercer," Reyes snapped, foregoing all pleasantries. "My fleet is on a hair trigger. The crews are demanding action. We are sitting here, dark, while the people who murdered the Nightingale are down there, parading." "My orders stand, Admiral," Alex said, his voice flat. "We do not fire first." "Your orders are borderline treason," Reyes shot back. "We have them. They are in the box. One command and we can impose a full system blockade. No ship in, no ship out. We choke them until they give up the guilty." "We do not even know who the guilty are," Alex said, rubbing his temples. The lack of sleep and the surfeit of caffeine were making his nerves raw. "You blockade this system, Admiral, and you are punishing 10 billion people for the actions of a few." "They are all Aurelian," Reyes said. "That is not how justice works," Alex said, his voice rising. "That is how vengeance works. We are here to enforce the charter, not to start a genocide. We punish the guilty, Admiral. We do not burn the homes of the innocent." Commander Okoye, silent until now, spoke. His voice was a low, smooth baritone. "Attaché Mercer, your position is admirable, but naive. A blockade is a scalpel, not a bomb. It applies pressure. It forces the internal structures to break. The guilty will be flushed out. And the civilians who starve while we wait," Alex countered. "The medical supplies that do not arrive. The people who die waiting for your scalpel to work. Is that who we are? We are not them. Commander, we are Earth Alliance. We hold the line." "Your line is a fantasy, Mercer," Reyes said. "This is war." "It is only war if we make it one," Alex said. "Hold your position, that is all." Before Reyes could reply, a priority alert flashed on Alex's private console. He muted the channel to the fleet. "What is it? Ariadne. A breach in the embassy's outer network. Attaché. Not an attack. A request from an unsecured terminal in the city's engineering sector. The encryption is panicked, but surprisingly robust. Put it through, Alex said. A new window opened. It was a text-only feed. I have what you want. I have the proof. I saw it. I built it. They made me build it. They lied. They said it was a long-range transmitter. But I saw the Nightingale reports. I saw the energy signature. It is a resonator. It is my design. I am a dead man. They are hunting me. Help me. Asylum. I will give you everything. I am Thalon. Alex felt his blood run cold. Ariadne, trace him. He is moving, attaché, fast, and he is being sloppy. He is leaving digital breadcrumbs. He is not sloppy, Alex said, his mind racing. He is terrified. He wants us to follow the crumbs. He wants us to find him before they do. Find who? Sana asked, moving to stand behind him. The people he built the weapon for, Alex said. He unmuted the fleet channel. Admiral, Commander, your desire for action is about to be granted. Just not in the way you hoped. I need a stealth retrieval team. Civilian sector, fast and quiet. I am sending you the coordinates. Reyes's eyes widened. A ground operation into the capital. Are you insane? The package is a high-value Aurelian defector. He claims to have built the jamming weapon, Alex said. He is our proof. Get him. Okoye nodded. Once. It will be done. The channel cut. Alex turned to Sana. I need to get him out of the city, but they will be looking for him. If they catch him, he is dead. And so is our case. Where can we put him that is safe? Sana asked. Alex looked up, past the ceiling, past the black grid of the fleet, to the Imperial spire. There is only one place, Alex said, but I am going to need to ask for a favor. Malachar Dreg stood in the low, cold light of the Imperial armory. The vault was ancient, dug deep into the planet's bedrock. Around him, his personal sensors, elite guards in silent, black armor, were moving with purpose. The inventory is to be sealed, Malachar said to his captain. The Mark IV units are to be moved to the deep archive, scramble the logs, replace them with standard patrol data. The incident with the Nightingale has made the barbarians predictably sentimental. We must not allow their emotions to cloud our security. And the girl, Lord Regent, the captain asked, his voice a synthesized rasp. The Empress. Malachar almost smiled. His crimson halo was the only source of warmth in the vault. She is finding her voice. It is unfortunate. She has invited the wolves into the den. See to it that our media channels are properly informed. Paint the humans as they are. Vengeful. Unstable. A threat to the imperial peace. A fog of honor must be maintained. Our people must be protected from the truth, so that they may be protected by it. It will be done, the captain said. And the engineer, Thalon. Malachar's face did not change. He was a useful tool. He is now a loose end. Find him. Silence him. Make it look like the barbarians did it. A tragic casualty of their illegal ground incursion. The Imperial Garden of Sensory Concordance was not a garden, as humans understood it. There were no flowers, no soil. It was a vast chamber, open to the shadowed sky, paved in resonant crystal. Mists, laced with precisely engineered scent cords, rose from grates in the floor. Wind chimes, crafted from sonic-grade metals, played complex, generative melodies. It was a place designed to overwhelm and calm the senses simultaneously. Empress Seraphine was walking the central spiral path when the message came. Her handmaiden, a nervous young woman, bowed low. Highness, An envoy from the Earth Embassy is here. He insisted on a private audience. He says it concerns the Nightingale investigation. An envoy, Seraphine asked. Not the ambassador. No, Highness. An attaché, a Mr. Alex Mercer. Seraphine frowned. A low-level functionary. This was a deliberate insult. Or, "Send him in," she said. Alex walked into the garden, and for a moment, his calibrated diplomatic calm faltered. The air was thick with the smell of ozone, sandalwood, and something like rain on hot metal. The sound was deafening, a cascade of chimes and whispers that seemed to bypass his ears and drill directly into his skull. He saw Seraphine standing at the center, a small, sapphire-blue figure against the chaotic sensory backdrop. "Your Highness," he said, bowing just enough to be polite. "Thank you for seeing me on such short notice." Seraphine studied him. He was not what she expected. He was quiet. His clothes were functional, and his eyes were tired. He wore no halo, no insignia of rank. He looked ordinary, yet he was the one who had come. "Attaché Mercer," she said, her voice easily cutting through the sound. "You are either very brave or very foolish to request a private meeting at a time like this. The ambassador, I assume, is busy shouting at my ministers." A flicker of a smile touched Alex's mouth. "The ambassador is occupied, Your Highness. I am here to correct an oversight." "Oh." "Your government, in your admirable speech to the Council, offered full cooperation," Alex said. "My government would like to accept—" "We are already preparing the data packets," Seraphine said, a defensive edge to her voice. "This takes time." "I am not here for data packets," Alex said. "I am here for a man. An Aurelian engineer named Thalon. He claims he built the jamming resonator used in the attack on the Nightingale." Seraphine's blood ran cold. Where is he?" "He is currently in the custody of an Alliance retrieval team in a secure location within your city," Alex said. "He is terrified for his life. He believes he is being hunted by his own people. He has information. Your Highness, schematics, logs, proof. He wants asylum." Seraphine turned away, the implications of this crashing down on her. A defector, a traitor, a witness. If what he says is true, he is the key to this. "He is," Alex agreed. "Which is why he is a dead man if he stays in our embassy. It is the first place they will look, the people who hired him." "You mean the Lord Regent," Seraphine said. It was not a question. Alex did not blink. "Thalon is a witness, under the terms of the Charter, in a case involving a medical vessel. A witness of his value can be placed under interjurisdictional protection. He needs sanctuary, a place no one would dare to strike, for fear of breaking a tradition even older than the Charter." Seraphine stopped walking. She looked at him, the sensory mist swirling around her. "You want me to hide him, in the Imperial Spire. You want me to grant your witness asylum, in my home, against my own Lord Regent." "Yes," Alex said. Seraphine laughed. It was a short, sharp, bitter sound. "The audacity, attaché. You stand under a sky your fleet has stolen, and you ask me for a favor." "I am asking you for justice," Alex said, his voice hardening. "This is not a game of political favors. Someone in your government, someone very high up, murdered 5,000 civilians to start a war. I am trying to stop that war, but I cannot do it if my only witness is murdered." He took a step closer. The chimes seemed to grow louder. "You spoke of the Charter. You told your council you would uphold it. This is your chance. Prove it. Or are those just words, Your Highness?" They stared at each other, the insignificant attaché and the prisoner Empress. The air between them crackled with the unsaid, the fear, the anger, the sheer, terrifying weight of the two civilizations balanced on their shoulders. "This garden," Alex said quietly, breaking the silence. "The sound, the smells. It is overwhelming. How do you stand it?" Seraphine was taken aback by the sudden shift. "It is designed to be," she said. "It purges the mind of singular, obsessive thought. It forces perspective. You are not meant to stand it. Attaché, you are meant to float in it." "Right," Alex said, looking unconvinced. "Back home, when we get overwhelmed, we just drink bitter bean water. It is, simpler." A genuine, startling smile flashed across Seraphine's face. It was gone in an instant, but it had been there. "The haunting chaser? Yes, I have read of it. A typically robust human solution. It gets the job done," Alex said, a hint of a smile on his own. The levity vanished. The fear of war, thick and cold, settled back in. "If I do this," Seraphine said, her voice low, "if I take in this Thalen, Malachar will see it as a declaration of war, my own civil war. It is a war he started. Your Highness," Alex said, "when he targeted the nightingale?" Seraphine looked up, past the crystal chimes, to the black ships hanging in her sky. "You will move your fleet." It was a command. "I cannot do that," Alex said. "You can," she insisted, her anger returning. "They are your people. Tell them to leave. You cannot hold my world hostage and ask for my trust in the same breath." "They are not moving," Alex said, his own temper flaring. "They are a line. They are a promise. They are the guarantee that men like Malachar cannot just erase 5,000 people and walk away. They stay, but they will not fire. That I can promise you." Seraphine searched his face. She saw no deceit, only a fatigue that mirrored her own, and a resolve that was as hard as her throne. "Get your witness to the East Gate," she said, her voice clipped. "He will be admitted under my personal seal. But know this, Attaché Mercer, if this is a trick, if your witness is a plant, or if your promise breaks, the fire that follows will burn us both." "Understood," Alex said. He bowed, this time with genuine respect. "Thank you, Your Highness." As he turned to leave, Seraphine called out, "Attaché, this bean water. Does it work?" Alex looked over his shoulder. "On the hauntings sometimes. But it is always better when you do not have to drink it alone." He walked out of the garden, leaving her alone with the chimes, the mist, and the terrible weight of her decision. Alex all but ran back to the embassy. He found Sana and Ariadne in his office, their faces grim. "Sana, you are with me," he said, grabbing a secure comm unit. "We are moving Thalen. Ariadne, what is wrong?" "I have refined the analysis. Attaché Mercer," the artificial intelligence said. The smooth voice was, for the first time, tinged with something that sounded like alarm. "The override signal, the one that masked the attack. I have traced its origin point." "The armory," Alex said, stopping. "No," Ariadne said. "The armory was the source of the weapon. But the broadcast? The command that jammed the safe corridor and sent the Nightingale to its death. It was sent from the Kestrel orbital station." Alex stared at the speaker. "The Kestrel station, that is..." That is a civilian monitoring post. It is in high orbit, right, above us. Yes, attaché, Ariadne said. A civilian station, in synchronous orbit, over the imperial capital. They did not just break the charter. They did it from their own front porch. It was not just an attack. It was a statement, an insult. Alex stood still, the implications washing over him. Malachar was not just hiding, he was bragging. He had committed mass murder in plain sight, using the Empire's own infrastructure, all while an Earth fleet was on its way. He felt a sudden, crushing weight. He had Thalen. He had the garden. He had a thread of a connection with the Empress. But Malachar was holding the entire board. The man was arrogant, protected, and he had just spat in the face of the Earth Alliance. Admiral Reyes's demands for a blockade suddenly seemed reasonable. Alex picked up his comm unit. "Sana, let us go. Get Thalen to the spire. I have to think." He walked out of the office, the weight of the charter key feeling heavier than it ever had before. He had an agreement with Seraphine, a fragile, personal one. But the Kestrel station, that was a military target. He was trapped. To get the evidence, he needed Seraphine. To keep the peace, he needed to trust her. But Malachar was moving, and the fleet was enraged. He considered, for the first time, not just using the key to hold the fleet back, but using it to move forward. He could present the evidence to Seraphine. He could reveal his authority. He could force a legal path, an official charter inquisition. But to do that, he would have to show her who he really was. He would have to expose the charter key to the galaxy. And in a room with someone like Malachar Dreg, exposing a weapon like that was not a legal proceeding. It was a death sentence. The plan was audacious, desperate, and, in Alex's opinion, entirely too theatrical. But it was the only bait they had. "A few survivors, Your Highness," Alex said. His voice, a calm, steady signal in Seraphine's private chamber. He was still at the embassy, but the secure channel they had opened felt small, intimate. The fleet's long-range patrols picked up 3 escape pods, badly damaged, hours after the attack. The reports were delayed. They are in critical condition. Too unstable to move to the fleet. Seraphine, standing before a window that now showed only the black belly of a human dreadnought, understood immediately. "That is a lie. The survivors are real, Your Highness," Alex said, his voice not wavering. "The part about them being too unstable to move is a diplomatic necessity. A medical truth, you might say. They need the best facilities. Your Imperial Medical Station is the best in this sector. A joint team, your doctors and ours, to oversee their care. A gesture of immense trust. A way for you to show your council that you are in control of the situation. And a way for you to paint a target," Seraphine replied, her voice sharp. "You are moving them not for their health, but as bait. You believe whoever is responsible will try to silence them." A pause. "Dr. Sana Patel, our chief medical analyst, will be leading the team. She is very protective. We are simply giving the Nightingale's wounded the best possible chance and the best possible security. If someone were to interfere with that, it would be illuminating." Seraphine turned from the window. The engineer, Thalen, was 2 levels below her, in a suite of rooms shielded from all internal sensors, under her own personal guard. He was terrified, but he was talking. He was drawing schematics from memory. And guess Thalen, he is secure. He says Malachar has a personal elite guard. The sensors. They move like ghosts. Then let us hope they like a good show, Alex said. The transfer will be public, high visibility. Malachar will see it. He will know he has 2 fires to put out the survivors who might talk, and the engineer who already has. He will have to choose. You are a very dangerous man. Attaché Mercer, Seraphine said. I am just a man who likes his coffee. Your Highness, Alex replied, a hint of weariness in his voice. This is all getting in the way of a good brew. The transport of the Nightingale survivors was exactly as Alex had promised, public, formal, and painfully slow. A single, brightly lit medical shuttle, bearing the joint insignia of the Alliance and the Imperial Medical Corps, descended from the Dark Fleet. It flew across the shadowed city, its path illuminated for all to see. Malachar Dreg watched the procession on a view screen from his private office. He was not impressed. He was, however, amused. The transfer was a human solution, so emotional, so predictable. It was a clumsy attempt at a trap, designed to draw him out. He turned to the captain of his sensors. The man was a featureless shadow in black, form-fitting armor that seemed to drink the light in the room. The humans are putting on a play in the streets, Captain, Malachar said, his crimson halo a steady, pulsing glow. They are moving 3 damaged survivors to the Imperial Station. A distraction. You wish us to intercept? The captain's synthesized voice asked. No, Malachar said. A public display requires a public response, and I am not a barbarian. This is a crude attempt to make me look like a monster. But the other, the engineer Thalon, the Empress has hidden him. She believes her personal sanctuary in the spire is inviolate. She has forgotten her own history. He touched a control on his desk. A diagram of the spire appeared, laced with glowing lines. The spire was built on the bones of the old citadel, Malachar murmured. And the old citadel had secrets even the architects of the spire did not care to seal. The Empress's sanctuary has a service conduit, a relic. Go. Bring me the engineer. Do not harm the Empress's personal guard. They are children. Simply put them to sleep. I want the engineer alive. He will be the centerpiece of my real performance. It will be done, Lord Regent, the shadow said. And then he was simply gone. Thalon was drinking something hot and spiced, courtesy of the Empress. When the wall of his suite dissolved, it did not explode. It simply opened. The solid stone and metal shimmered, went transparent, and then vanished. 2 of Seraphine's guards, young men in ceremonial silver armor, stepped forward, their energy pikes humming. They did not even have time to shout. 3 figures, black as the void, moved from the opening. They were not just fast, they were incorrect. They moved with a fluid, jointless grace that was deeply unnatural. The first sensor's hand, moving in a silver blur, touched the first guard's neck. The guard crumpled, his pike clattering. The second sensor disarmed the other guard and had him in a chokehold before he could even turn. A soft hiss, and he, too, slumped to the floor, unconscious. Thalon scrambled back, dropping his cup. The liquid steamed on the ancient stone. The lead sensor, the captain, stepped through the opening. He looked at Thalon. He did not speak. He simply pointed back toward the secret passage. Thalon, weeping silently, his last hope gone, stood up and walked toward the man who had come to collect him. The entire kidnapping, from breach to extraction, had taken less than 30 seconds. When Seraphine received the alert, she felt a cold fury she had never known. Her personal chambers, her sanctuary, violated. He is gone, she demanded of her terrified handmaiden. The guards. Asleep, Highness. Unharmed, but asleep. And the engineer vanished. The wall. The scanners show a passage. An old one, sealed from this side. Her first instinct was to scream, to call her loyal household guard, to lock down the spire, to start a top-to-bottom hunt. She would tear the palace apart, find Malakar's sensors, and execute them on the spot. But as she reached for the citywide alarm, a new message flashed on her console. It was from the Noble Council, convened by Malakar Dreg. Your Highness. Lord Valerius's face appeared, his orange halo flickering with false sympathy. A terrible thing has happened. It seems the Earth Alliance, not content with darkening our skies, has sent a secret spy team into the spire itself. They have abducted the engineer Thalen, a clear act of aggression, a violation of your sacred home. Seraphine froze. She looked at the man's face, at the poorly concealed triumph in his eyes. He had not just taken Thalen. He had framed it. He had taken her witness and turned him into a weapon, a justification for war. If she announced that Malakar had taken Thalen, it would be her word, the word of a sentimental young woman, against the evidence of an Earth incursion. The Council was already on his side, and if she locked down the city to hunt for Thalen, who would her guards be looking for? They would be looking for Earth spies. They would be hunting Alex's retrieval team. It would be a street war, her people versus his. Exactly what Malakar wanted. She was trapped. Your Highness, Valerius pressed. We await your command. You must order a citywide sweep. We must hunt these human vermin down. Seraphine closed her eyes. She saw the city streets, her people, her guards, caught in a panicked crossfire. She saw the Black Fleet above, seeing a city erupt in violence, believing the Aurelians were finally showing their true colors. She made the hardest choice of her life. No, she said, her voice a whisper. What? Valerius looked genuinely shocked. There will be no sweep, Seraphine said, opening her eyes. Her sapphire halo was dim but steady. I will investigate this. Internally. To act with panic is to show weakness. We will be constant. That is the armor of the Empire. Is it not? She cut the channel. She slumped onto a bench. The sensory garden's chimes, audible even here, sounding like a funeral dirge. She had chosen to protect her people from chaos. But in doing so, she had just appeared to all the galaxy as a weak, ineffectual ruler, who could not even control her own palace. She had let Malakar win. Alex received 2 messages at the same time. The first was a coded, frantic burst from Seraphine's personal channel. He has Thalen. The second was from Ariadne Attaché Mercer. I am detecting a massive data purge initiating from the Kestrel orbital station. Malakar is cleaning house. At this rate, all evidence of the transmission will be gone in less than 1 hour. No, Alex said. He slammed his fist on his desk. The coffee cup jumped. He does not get to do this. He sat at his terminal, his face a mask of cold fury. He placed his palm on the desk. Charter key authenticated. Standing by. Ariadne, what is the shadow grid? He asked, his voice low. A term from the key's contingency files. Attaché. The artificial intelligence's voice was smooth. It refers to a network of unmanned, deep stealth platforms. They are not Alliance. They are older. They exist to enforce charter provisions when signatories fail. Their capabilities are listed as containment, quarantine, and information denial. Deploy them, Alex said. Attaché. That is a level 2 activation. It requires me, Alex snapped. Do it. Deploy the shadow grid. I want a full, non-violent quarantine on Kestrel Station. No one in, no one out. Sever its power links. Cut its communications. I want it dark. I want it silent. And I want it now. But you do not, I repeat, do not engage any Aurelian vessel that approaches. This is containment, not war. Activating, Ariadne said. Level 2, command, is accepted. On the bridge of the Alliance flagship, Admiral Nyla Reyes was watching her tactical screen when her world tilted. Dozens of new signatures, all black, all running codes she had never seen, simply appeared. They did not jump in. They phased in, emerging from the fabric of space itself. They were small, silent, and they moved with impossible, right-angled speed. Before her stunned tactical officer could even speak, the shadow ships had formed a perfect, interlocking cage of energy around the Kestrel orbital station. The station's power signature, which had been spiking with data transfer, flatlined. "What in the hell is that?" Reyes roared. "Whose ships are those, Okoye? Get me a weapons lock." "Admiral," Okoye said, his voice tense. "They are not responding to hails and they are not ours." "Mercer." Reyes screamed, slamming her hand on the comm panel. "You get on this channel right now, you traitorous little clerk." "What did you do?" Alex's face appeared, pale and drawn. "I preserved the evidence, Admiral." "You deployed a black fleet," she shouted. "In my theater, I am relieving you of command. Mercer, as of this." "Admiral, you will stand down." A new voice cut into the channel. Dr. Sana Patel, her face grim, stepped into the view next to Alex. "What you are seeing is a legal evidence quarantine under the Galactic Charter. Emergency medical clause. Codicil 9. Reyes stared, speechless. What?" "As the senior medical investigator and representative for the victims of the Nightingale," Sana said, her voice ringing with an authority Alex had never heard from her. "I have formally requested the preservation of evidence related to the Kestrel Station. Attaché Mercer's shadow grid is the enforcing agent of that request. Ariadne, please log my order." "Order logged. Dr. Patel." The smooth voice of the artificial intelligence added. "Time-stamped 2 minutes prior to current. Admiral Reyes, you are now legally bound by the Charter to respect the quarantine. Firing on those vessels would be an act of, well, spoliation of evidence, a war crime." Admiral Reyes looked from Sana to Alex, and back again. Her face was a storm. She was trapped, outmaneuvered by a doctor, a clerk, and a ghost in a machine. "Okoye," she seethed, "maintain position, and get me a direct line to the Alliance Legal Counsel. I am going to have that. Clerk, court-martialed." She cut the channel. Alex let out a breath he did not know he was holding. He looked at Sana. "Thank you." "Do not thank me," Sana said, her hands shaking. "I just lied to a high admiral. Now, let us make it worth it. Ariadne, with the station dark." "What can you find?" "The data purge was incomplete," Ariadne said. "They were trying to erase the authorization logs for the station's transmitter. They failed. I have a fragment, an authorization code. This is strange. It is ancient. It predates Malakar's regency." "What does it open?" Alex asked. "A pathway," Ariadne said, "to the Imperial Archive. A sublevel, a cold, physical storage. It references a single file, the Aurelian Oath." Alex looked at Sana. "Let us go for a walk." The Imperial Archive was a tomb, a vast, cold, silent building near the base of the spire. They were admitted under Alex's diplomatic credentials, but the place was clearly forgotten. They followed Ariadne's directions through their comms, down into the sublevels, the air growing colder, dust motes dancing in the light from their handhelds. They found it in a sealed vault, not a data crystal, but a slab of polished, light-receptive quartz. When Alex shone his light on it, ancient text, in 2 languages, flared into life. It was a story. A lost Aurelian colony ship, its systems failing. A primitive Earth sublight vessel. The Wanderer, encountering it by chance. The Earthship, with no FTL drive, had spent 10 years, a decade, shepherding the crippled Aurelian ship to a habitable world, sharing its meager supplies. The oath, signed by the first Empress, was a promise etched in gratitude and shame. So long as our suns shine, it read, the people of Aurelian shall be the shield for the healers, the explorers, and the open hands of Earth. To harm them is to harm ourselves. This is our eternal bond. They do not just owe us, Sana whispered, her fingers tracing the Earth insignia. This is the foundation, their honor. Malachar is not just breaking the charter. He is desecrating his own history. And he is about to make sure no one ever finds out, Alex said, his comm buzzing. Ariadne, what is it? Malachar, attaché. He has just broadcast a system-wide address. He is holding up Thalon. On the screen in Alex's office, which they had remotely activated, Malachar Dregg's face was a mask of cold, righteous anger. Beside him stood a terrified, bruised Thalon, flanked by sensors. People of Aurelian, Malachar's voice boomed. For days, we have suffered the insult of the barbarian fleet. We have sought peace, and they have met us with aggression. He then played a recording, faked data logs, doctored images. We have learned the terrible truth from this brave engineer, Thalon, who was captured and tortured by human spies. The Nightingale was no hospital ship. It was a weapon, a plague ship, carrying forbidden intellectual weapons, sapient artificial intelligence cores, designed to infect our networks, seize our minds, and destroy us from within. The attack was a tragic, but necessary, act of self-defense by a patriot who discovered their plot. The city, already on edge, exploded. The lie was perfect. It played on every one of their fears. They were not victims, Malachar roared. They were invaders. And now, the Empress, in her confusion, refuses to act. She has entertained their spies. She has allowed them to defile her own palace. Alex and Sana ran from the archive, the cheers of an enraged populace echoing from the city's public address system. Back in the embassy, the final message came, not from Malachar, from the Noble Council. Empress Seraphine has been given an ultimatum, the formal decree stated. She has 24 hours to demand the unconditional withdrawal of the Earth Alliance fleet. If she fails, the Council will invoke the Shield of the Ancestors Clause, declare her unfit, and assume wartime command. The night was absolute. The city was a roaring sea of anger, chanting Malachar's name. The fleet above was a silent, black lid on a boiling pot. Alex finally got a signal through to the spire, a crackling, unstable, audio-only line. He has won, Seraphine's voice whispered, all the royal precision gone. She sounded young, and she sounded terrified. They are calling for my abdication. The Council is forcing my hand. I have to issue the ultimatum, Alex. Then do it, Alex said, his own voice tight. He was standing in the dark of his office, the Kestrel station, a quarantine prisoner in the sky, the quartz slab of the oath heavy in his pack. Do it. Give the ultimatum. Buy us 23 hours. And then what? She cried, the static hissing. My people hate you. Your fleet wants to burn us. Thalen is a liar. The survivors are seen as plants. We have nothing. We have the truth, Alex said. He took a deep breath. The electromagnetic interference from the city's newly raised shields was making the air crackle. Seraphine, I promised you I would find justice. He is overplaying his hand. He is giving us no choice but to show the truth. Your truth, she said, her voice bitter. Or mine? They are not the same anymore. They are, Alex insisted. I have to choose. Between vengeance for 5,000 dead and a justice that saves 10 billion. I am choosing justice. And I am choosing your safety. I will not let him do this to you. I swear it. There was a long silence, just the hiss of the wind and the static. That is a dangerous promise. Attaché, she whispered at last. Justice may burn us both. Then we will be very precise, Alex said, about what we burn. The channel died, leaving him in the darkness, the roar of the city a distant, hateful sound. He had 23 hours to save the world. The ultimatum had 20 hours left. The Imperial City was a sea of crimson light, as Malakar's supporters lit flares of patriotic fury against the black sky. The Earth fleet hung above, a silent, patient void. Then, the fleet moved. It was not an attack. It was a statement. One by one, the ships shifted formation, their thousands of hulls locking together with micron precision. They did not power weapons. They simply expanded. They extended vast, light-absorbing panels, unfurling them like the wings of 1,000,000 dark birds. They covered everything. The sun, the stars, the faint nebular glow. They deployed the tactical black. On the ground, the crimson flares guttered, and the city was plunged into an absolute, terrifying darkness. It was a suffocating, physical presence. A message, delivered without a single shot. We are the shadow. We are the night your sun cannot pierce. We are here, and we are protecting the law. In his office, Malakar Dreg watched the city vanish into blackness on his monitors. He laughed, a short, sharp, humorless sound. How utterly human, he whispered. They believe a lack of light is a show of power. They are children, playing with curtains. He turned to his console, his crimson halo illuminating his face. They want to play in the dark. Let us give them a fire. His fingers moved, inputting a final authorization. The Kestrel orbital station, dark and silent under the shadow grid's quarantine, suddenly blazed with internal power. In the embassy, Alex slammed his hand on the desk. Ariadne, what is that? He has bypassed the quarantine. Attaché! The artificial intelligence's voice was sharp, a new edge of alarm in it. He is not using the station's main power. He has activated a redundant, shielded reactor core. The one I could not see. He is not just wiping the logs, Alex. He is initiating a core overload, a full molten core cascade. He is destroying the evidence, Sana said, her face pale. He is destroying the station, Alex corrected, his voice grim. He is destroying the proof, the witnesses, and the weapon, all in one. And he will blame us for it. He will say our shadow grid caused the meltdown. We cannot let him, Sana said. We have to stop it. He knows we do, Alex said, his mind racing. It is a trap. He wants us to go up there. He will have sensors waiting. He will catch us in the act of sabotage. Then we cannot go, Sana said, her voice small. We do not have a choice, Alex said. He looked at the quartz slab of the Aurelian Oath, leaning against his wall. We have the truth, but it means nothing if the proof burns. Ariadne, I need a ship. Stealth-capable. The embassy shuttle is not rated for... Not the embassy shuttle, Alex said. He opened the channel to the spire. Seraphine, he is burning the station. I am going up. I need a team, not his... Yours. There was a long pause, filled only with the crackle of the city's unrest. Then her voice came, no longer the terrified girl, but the Empress. He has overplayed his hand. He believes he has me trapped. But he has forgotten. A regent serves at the pleasure of the crown. She cut the connection. In the throne room, Seraphine did something no sovereign had done in 5 centuries. She walked past the empty sun throne and stood before the council, who were arguing over the wording of her abdication. My lords, she said. Her voice, unamplified, cut through their bickering. They turned, stunned by her presence. Malachar was not there. He was, they assumed, preparing his transition to full power. Your Highness, Lord Valerius began. This is not proper. You are. I am the Empress, Seraphine said. Her sapphire halo blazed, brighter than they had ever seen it. And you, my lords, have been misled. She held up a small, ancient crystal. I invoke, by the blood of the first Empress, the right of celestial command. The emergency clause that supersedes all council, all regency. It is my right, in a time of existential threat. Threat? Valeria scoffed. The only threat is the fleet you refuse to... The threat is internal, Seraphine declared. I am dissolving the Lord Regent's censor guard, effective immediately. Their command structure is nullified. Their authority is revoked. They will surrender their armor and their codes, and place themselves under the command of my new household captain. She pointed. A young guard, the same one who had been put to sleep by the censors, stepped forward, his silver armor bright. He was terrified, but he did not waver. The council erupted. This was not just a breach of protocol. It was a coup. You cannot, Valeria shouted. It is done, Seraphine said. And as my first act of resumed command, I am dispatching a joint investigatory team to the Kestrel orbital station to prevent its destruction at the hands of the true traitor, Malachar Dreg. She had drawn her line. She had chosen her side. A single, black, unmarked shuttle, an Aurelian ceremonial craft with its transponders wiped, shot up from the spire. It slipped past the Earth Fleet's blackout grid, using codes Alex had supplied from the shadow grid. Inside, it was tense. Alex, in a dark, non-reflective environmental suit, Sana, her face pale, gripping a data tablet. And 6 of Seraphine's personal guard, clad in silver, looking utterly bewildered as they stared at the Earth attaché, who was, now, apparently, giving them orders. He will be expecting us at the main docking bay, Alex said. His voice clipped over the comm. We are not using it. We are going in through a maintenance airlock. It will be 0 gravity. Keep your mag boots on and keep silent. They will hear us breathing if we are not careful. The shuttle docked with a jolt. The airlock hissed open into a dark, cold corridor. Ariadne? I am in, Alex whispered into his comm. Guide us. To the secondary reactor core, Alex, the artificial intelligence's voice whispered in his ear. 10 minutes, if you are fast. The meltdown is accelerating. He is pushing it. He wants this over. They moved through the corridors like ghosts. Silver armor and black-suited humans, but they were not alone. A censor, black on black, materialized from a shadow. He moved with the same impossible, fluid speed. Before the lead silver guard could even raise his pike, the sensor was on him. But Alex was faster. He did not fire a weapon. He moved inside the sensor's attack, his hand striking the sensor's wrist. Not hard, but with a precise, cold pressure. The sensor's hand went numb. Alex's other hand touched the side of the sensor's helmet, at a point where the neural link met the armor. The sensor's suit locked. The black-clad figure froze, paralyzed, and began to float helplessly in the corridor. The silver guards stopped, stunned. "Keep moving," Alex ordered, not looking back. "They are just men in suits. Very good suits. But they lock up if you know where to press." They cleared 2 more corridors, Alex and the silver guards moving as a strange, lethal unit. But as they neared the reactor room, a new, terrible sound began a public address warning. "Intruder alert! Intruder alert! Earth Alliance terrorists have boarded the station. All personnel, evacuate." "He has made us," Sana whispered, her hand on her sidearm. "He did not make us," Alex said, his face grim. "He was waiting for us. He wanted us on board when it blew. Ariadne, he is going to blame us for this. Broadcast it all." "Then we have to broadcast something better," Sana said, her eyes alight. "Alex, the oath, the quartz, we have it." "Now, Ariadne," Alex shouted, as he kicked open the door to the reactor control room. "Broadcast it, all channels, all network city, fleet. Everyone use the full power of the shadow grid." The reactor room was a pit of glowing, failing energy. 2 sensors stood guard. They opened fire. As the silver guards returned fire, Alex ignored the fight. He ran to the main console. It was a cascade of red alerts. "Ariadne, he locked me out. He is not the only one with old codes." "Alex," the artificial intelligence's voice said, now being broadcast into the room. "The console is linked to the spire. It recognizes the authority of the first Empress." Alex looked at the console, at the ancient, forgotten script. He knew this. The key was not just a key. It was a library. "The oath," he whispered. "It is not just a promise, it is a command." His fingers flew, pressing not keys, but glowing quartz symbols, across the planet. In the absolute darkness, every screen, every private terminal, every public billboard flared to life. It did not show the face of Malachar. It did not show the face of the Empress. It showed a slab of stone. And then, Ariadne's voice, calm and clear, began to read, in Aurelian, in Standard Earth. "The oath of the first Empress, a record. A colony ship, lost. An Earth ship, the Wanderer. 10 years, they shared their food. 10 years. They shared their air. So long as our suns shine, the people of Aurelian shall be the shield for the healers." The city, which had been a sea of angry, chanting voices, went silent. In the streets, people stopped, their faces illuminated by the glowing text. They looked at the oath, and then at the dark, silent fleet above them, the fleet that had not fired, the fleet that was waiting in the station. Alex's fingers found the final symbol. The overload alarm stopped. The reactor core began to whine, stabilizing. He had done it. "Alex." Sana's voice was a terrified whisper. He turned. Malachar Dreg stood in the doorway, framed by 2 more sensors. He was holding a detonator. "How beautiful," Malachar sneered, his crimson halo a burning sliver. "A children's story. Do you think that matters? You, a clerk, you, a half-trained doctor. And you," he spat at the silver guards. "Traitors, you have come all this way to die for a fairy tale." It is not a fairy tale, Alex said, walking slowly away from the console. It is a fact, and you are a war criminal. Malachar. I am a patriot, Malachar roared. I am saving my people from you, from the weakness you represent. He looked at the detonator. I cannot allow this station, this, evidence, to fall into your sentimental hands. The docking bay, my sensors. They are such loyal men. They have just armed the charges, right where your little shuttle is parked. No, Sana breathed. Yes, Malachar smiled. A tragic accident. The terrorists, in their desperation, destroyed themselves. Such a shame. He pressed the button. A massive, shuddering explosion rocked the entire station. The lights died, replaced by red emergency strobes. Ariadne, Alex yelled. The docking bay. It is gone. The artificial intelligence's voice was strained. Multiple hull breaches. Casualties. Alex, there were station workers. Aurelian civilians. He killed them. He killed his own people. On the bridge of the Alliance flagship, Admiral Nyla Reyes watched her screen turn from black to a chaotic mess of red alerts. The explosion, the casualties, the faked distress call, already broadcasting, the Earth terrorists. They are blowing up the station, help us. They are. This was it, the line. He did it, Reyes whispered, her voice a low, shaking bass of pure fury. That bastard, that terrorist, Mercer, he did it. She looked at her tactical officer. All ships, power weapons, full bombardment pattern. On my... No. Commander Okoye's voice was quiet, but it cut through her rage. He had his hand on the console, locking out her command. Commander, Reyes seethed. You are relieved of... No, Okoye said again. He turned, his scarred face calm, but his eyes were burning. He opened a private channel, patching it to her command screen. It was Alex. He was in a red-lit, shaking corridor. He was breathing hard. Behind him, Sana and the Silver Guards were trying to seal a breach. Mercer, Okoye said, his voice flat. The Admiral is about to turn this planet's crust to glass. She believes you are a terrorist. You have one decision. One more. What is it? Alex looked into the camera. He was not a clerk. He was not an attaché. He was the key. It was Malachar, Alex said, his voice hard as steel. He just blew the docking bay. He is on this station. I am going to take him. You tell the Admiral. You tell her to hold her line. The charter is being tested, and I am the test. The channel cut. Okoye looked at Reyes. One decision. Admiral was... or yours. In a hastily secured storage room on the Kestrel station, Alex, Sana, and the 4 remaining Silver Guards checked their weapons. The air was thin. The door hissed open. It was Seraphine. She was not in the spire. She had come up on the shuttle. She was wearing a simple, black environmental suit, her sapphire halo a low, steady glow in the red light. Your Highness, Alex said, stunned. What are you? He is my regent, Seraphine said, her voice shaking. But not with fear. With rage. This is my station. He is my traitor. I am not hiding in my garden while you drink your bitter coffee and save my world. She looked at him, her eyes finding his in the dark. She put her hand on his shoulder, a simple, human gesture that felt heavier than the crown she wore. They are both waiting, she said, nodding to the planet below and the fleet above. They are waiting for us to light the match. Either you save both our worlds, Alex, or you burn them. Then we burn him, Alex said. His voice was quiet, devoid of all the exhaustion, all the diplomatic hedging. It was the cold, clear voice of the key. We burn him with the truth, right here, in front of the entire galaxy. Seraphine looked at him, at the man who was so much more than the clerk who made coffee. She nodded. Once. He is on the command deck? He has locked it down. He thinks he has, Alex said. He turned to the comm panel in the storage room. Ariadne. Here, Alex. The artificial intelligence's voice was calm, but the processing cycles behind it were burning. He is broadcasting on all channels. The terrorist attack message is on a loop. Cut it, Alex said. He placed his right palm on the panel. I am invoking the key. Level 3, full interstellar tribunal. Patch me. Patch us. To every signatory of the charter. No override, no refusal. This is a Code 1 medical vessel inquiry. Alex! Ariadne's voice was, for the first time, tinged with warning. Level 3. It exposes you. Completely. You will no longer be an attaché. You will be the key to everyone. It is a little late for a quiet life. Ariadne, Alex murmured. He looked at Seraphine. Stay with me. The galaxy's media feeds, its military channels, its private diplomatic conversations, all vanished. They were replaced by a single, stark image of the Charter's emblem, a stylized human hand shielding a flame. And then, the feed split. One screen showed Alex, Seraphine, Sanaa, and the Silver Guards in the red-lit, shaking corridor of the Kestrel station. Another screen showed the command deck of the Alliance flagship, with a stunned Admiral Reyes and Commander Okoye. A third showed the Aurelian Noble Council, their halos flickering in confusion. And the fourth, the largest, showed Malachar Dreg on the command deck of the station, his sensors arrayed behind him. Malachar looked at the feed, his brow furrowed in anger. What is this? What sorcery? This! Alex's voice boomed, clear and cold, across 100 worlds. Is a legal tribunal, convened under the full authority of the Charter. I am Alex Mercer, executor of the Charter Key. This session is now live. On the flagship. Admiral Reyes's jaw dropped. Executor, he is the key. Okoye just nodded, his face unreadable. It seems. The clerk had a very large keyring. You are nothing, Malachar roared into the camera, his composure cracking. You are a clerk, a human spy. You have no authority here. My authority, Alex said, is the 5,000 dead on the Nightingale. My authority is the law you broke. He turned his camera feed slightly. Dr. Sanaa Patel, your findings. Sanaa stepped forward. She was no longer just a doctor. She was the voice of the dead. She was calm, precise, and her fury was a cold, sharp instrument. Malachar Dreg, you have been charged with the destruction of a medical vessel. Your defense is that the Nightingale was a weapon. This is false. She broadcast the data. The burn patterns from the Nightingale's black box, recovered by the shadow grid. This is the signature of the Mark IV disruptor. An Aurelian weapon, banned 150 years ago. Pirates! Malachar spat. Mercenaries! This proves nothing. I agree, Sanaa said, and the galaxy held its breath. The weapon came from the Imperial Armory, which you control. But the order to fire, that is more interesting. She played the log file Ariadne had rescued from the fire. The signal that jammed the Nightingale's corridor and fired the weapon was routed through this station. But it did not originate here. It was a relay, the final, encrypted authorization, the one that pushed the button. It came from a secure, shielded terminal inside the Lord Regent's personal repository. In the Spire, a terminal, I might add, that you used just 3 hours ago. To initiate the data purge on this station, Malakar's crimson halo wavered. The noble council was staring, their faces ashen. Lies, he roared. Fabrications. You have no witness. Oh, but we do. Seraphine's voice cut in. She stepped forward, her small form filling the screen, her sapphire halo now a brilliant, defiant blue. You seem to have misplaced your star witness, Lord Regent. He is... Malakar stopped. He had just realized Thalin was not in the feed. The storage room door opened. Thalin walked in, flanked not by sensors, but by 2 more of Seraphine's silver guards. He was never yours, Malakar, Seraphine said. When your sensors attacked my palace, my guards, they are faster than you think. They intercepted your team. They extracted the package before your men even knew what they had. It was a decoy sensor they took. Thalin was shaking, but he stood tall. He looked directly at Malakar. You told me it was a long-range transmitter. You said it was to protect the border. You said I was a patriot. And you are, Malakar said, his voice a desperate, placating boom. Tell them, Thalin. Tell them what the humans did to you. Tell them. I will tell them what you did, Thalin said. He held up a small data chip. I do not trust politicians. I record everything. He played it. It was Malakar's voice, unfiltered. Not the public statesman, but the cold, private conspirator. The humans are a disease, their weakness, their humanity. It infects us. It makes us soft. Look at the Empress. She is curious about them. She is weak. The Empire is rotting from the head down. The voice continued, colder still. We need a fire. We need a war to forge us, to burn out the rot. I have hired professionals, mercenaries from the Rim. They will be disguised as an Earth crew. They will stage an attack, a small one, on their own people, the Nightingale. It is a high-profile target. It will guarantee a response. It is a necessary, regrettable sacrifice. The death of a few thousand to save 10 billion. The galaxy went silent. In the Imperial City, the last of the crimson flares died. There was only the sound of 1 billion people, listening. Why? Alex's voice was hollow. Why do all of this? Malakar's mask of the Patriot finally, utterly burned away. He was not a statesman. He was a zealot. He lunged at the camera, his face a snarl, his crimson halo pulsing with rage. Because we are dying, he screamed at Alex, at Seraphine, at the galaxy. We are suffocating on peace. We are drowning in protocol and tradition and humanity. We built an empire that conquered stars, and now we trade we negotiate. I was trying to save us. I needed a war. I could control. I needed to forge our Empress into a weapon, a leader, a conqueror. Not a curious child who wants to drink their filthy coffee. He had admitted it, all of it. Seraphine stepped forward, her own face a mask of cold, regal fury. You speak of forging, Lord Regent, she said, her voice like ice. But you know nothing of it. You only know how to break. You have broken our laws. You have broken our honor. You have broken the sacred oath of the first Empress. And you have broken your oath. To me. She raised her hand. By the sacred and ancient law of the 2 suns setting, I declare the regency void. You are no longer Lord Regent. You are no longer a Lord of Aurelian. You are simply Malachar Dreg, a traitor, and you are under arrest. You, child, Malachar snarled. You have no power, my men. Censors seize her, seize them all. The two censors behind him moved and then stopped. The door to the command deck hissed open, and it was filled with silver armor. Seraphine's guards, Alex's guards. They had taken the entire station. The censors were surrounded. Malachar looked at his men. Then, at the screen. He was beaten. On the planet below, a new light was rising. The crimson flares were gone. Now, a wave of pure, blue light. The color of Seraphine's halo was spreading from the spire, out across the city, as the people lit their own signals of loyalty. They had seen the oath. They had heard the confession. They had their Empress back. On the Alliance flagship, Admiral Reyes stared at her screen. Okoye was watching her. The tactical black, she said, her voice rough. Retract it, now, all ships. Power down weapons. Switch. Switch to relief posture. Floodlights. Medical bay readiness. Get me Dr. Patel on a secure channel, I have survivors who need a place to go. The great black shadow lifted from Aurelian Prime. The sun, bright and warm, streamed back down. It illuminated the Alliance fleet, no longer a black grid of vengeance, but a white and gray armada of aid. The tribunal was still active. The galaxy was watching. A representative from the Charter Council, a holographic figure, flickered to life. Executor Mercer, the Charter, the Alliance. Demands retribution. The path of justice is clear. What is your judgment? Alex looked at the screen. At Malachar, now in binders, his face a mask of hate. At Reyes, her face a mask of respect. At Seraphine, who was watching him. Only him. The power was his. He held the key. He could demand land, ships, tribute. He could demand Malachar's head. The fleet would back him. The Charter would back him. He took a deep breath. We are the Earth Alliance, he said, his voice quiet, but carrying across the stars. The nightingale was our promise to the galaxy. That promise was broken by one man. He looked at Malachar. We are not you. We are not here for vengeance. Vengeance is easy. Justice is hard. Retribution is a child's tantrum. We are adults. We are human. He turned to the galaxy. We do not conquer. We correct. Malachar Dreg will face a full trial before a joint tribunal of Aurelian and Alliance citizens. He will be judged by the laws he sought to destroy. And we will stay. Not as occupiers, but as partners. We will help heal the wounds he caused. We will help you rebuild. He closed his eyes. Just for a second. This tribunal is adjourned. He cut the feed. The station was quiet, save for the hum of restored power. The crisis was over. Alex, Seraphine, and Sana were in a small, quiet observation lounge, the adrenaline draining away, leaving a deep, aching exhaustion. The silver guards stood at the door, their duty done. It is over, Alex said, slumping against a bulkhead. He felt empty. The weight of the key was gone, replaced by the simple human ache of having survived. Is it? Seraphine asked. She was standing at the window, looking at her world, now ringed by the white-lit ships of the Alliance. The trial will be difficult, Sana offered, rubbing her eyes. But the proof is absolute, He is finished. No, Seraphine said. She turned from the window. Her face was pale, and her eyes were filled with a new, terrible light. She was not looking at Sanaa. She was looking at Alex. He targeted the nightingale for a reason. Alex, she whispered. It was not random. It was precise. Alex frowned. Because it was a hospital ship. Because it was the ultimate symbol. No, she interrupted. Because I was on it. Alex and Sanaa stared. Your Highness, what are you? Sanaa began. Not me. My signal, Seraphine said, the words tumbling out. I have been communicating for months with the Nightingale's chief physician, in secret. She was weeping now, silent tears tracking down her face. There are war orphans from the skirmish zones, Aurelian children, human children, left behind. Malakar's policies. They were brutal. They were being erased. The physician, he was getting them out, a few at a time, taking them to an Alliance sanctuary. Alex's blood ran cold. Seraphine, what did you do? I helped him, she whispered. I used my personal, ancestral codes. I gave his ship a royal transport designation to get him through the blockades, so he could save the children. My children. His children. All of them. She looked at Alex, her eyes a raw, open wound. That is how Malakar's people found him. That is how they knew the Nightingale would be in that corridor. They were not tracking a hospital ship. They were tracking me. They were tracking my code. She choked on a sob. He targeted that ship to cut me off, to punish me, to stop my first small human act. She looked down, her sapphire halo dimming to a faint, mournful glow. 5,000 people. All those doctors, all those patients. They died. They died. Because I was curious. Because I wanted to help. Sanaa made a small sound, a sound of profound medical and personal pain. Alex said nothing. He stared at the young woman before him. Not the Empress, not the political ally. Just a woman, broken by the weight of a single, compassionate choice. The final, terrible piece of the puzzle. Malakar had not just started a war. He had weaponized her kindness. Alex walked forward. He did not say a word. He did not touch her. He just stood in front of her, close enough to feel the warmth of her halo. He waited. After a long moment, he simply reached out his hand, palm up, the gesture of the charter. An open hand. Seraphine looked at his hand, then at his face. His tired, kind, human face. Slowly, she put her hand in his. The sun had returned to Aurelian Prime. The sky, once a black, on-black canvas of dread, was now a brilliant, clear blue, populated by the white and gray hulls of Earth Alliance ships. They were no longer a grid of vengeance. They were a constellation of aid. The Kestrel station, stabilized and secured, hung in orbit as a joint protectorate, a silent testament to the crisis that had almost fractured two civilizations. Malakar Dreg, stripped of his titles, his crimson halo extinguished by imperial decree, sat in a shielded cell within the spire, awaiting a trial that would be broadcast to 100 worlds. His sensors, his network of shadow and fear, had been dismantled. Their secret armories opened not by force, but by joint teams of Aurelian scholars and Alliance engineers, working side by side to catalog and decommission the forbidden weapons. Down in the Imperial City, the great plaza that had hosted the parade of empty precision was transformed. The ground, once scored by the marks of panicked crowds, was now a place of quiet, determined healing. Joint medical tents, staffed by Alliance doctors in their functional blue scrubs and Aurelian healers in their silver robes, tended to the wounded. Most were civilians from the Kestrel station, caught in Malakar's final spiteful act. From every spire and archway, the people had hung ribbons, thousands of them, fluttering in the clear breeze. They were black, and they were white. Dr. Sana Patel stood in the center of the plaza, watching an Aurelian healer and an Alliance corpsman argue good-naturedly over the best way to apply a synthetic skin graft. "The white," she said quietly to Commander Okoye, who had joined her on a formal inspection, "is for the healers, for the Nightingale, for the oath we all share." "And the black?" Okoye asked, his eyes on the crowd. "For the memory," Sana said, her voice tight. "So we never forget. So they never forget." She pointed to a young Aurelian woman who was tying a black ribbon, then gently touching the white one beside it. We are a popular exhibit, Commander. The humans." "We are," Okoye agreed, a rare small smile touching his scarred face. "It seems our reputation is improving." The most profound change, however, was not in the sky or the streets, but in the spire, Seraphine. In the days following the tribunal, had moved with a speed and decisiveness that had stunned the noble council. Her first act was not one of retribution, but of construction. She had established the Humanity Council. It was not a political body. It was, as she had defined it in her first public decree since the crisis, an ethical advisory board. It was comprised of thinkers, philosophers, and scientists from a dozen different species, all signatories of the Charter, and, in a move that shook the foundations of Aurelian tradition, she had granted 2 permanent, unvetoable seats. One was for the senior-most medical representative in the system, currently held by a stunned Dr. Sana Patel. The other was reserved for a survivor to be chosen by lot from any vessel or station that had ever come under attack in violation of the Charter. A permanent voice for the victim, Seraphine had called it, to ensure that policy is never again made in a room where the cost of that policy is not felt. She was, Alex Mercer thought, a natural. He was back in his office at the embassy. Or rather, a new office, one with a window. The ambassador, in a state of flustered, profound apology, had insisted. The window looked out over the plaza, over the black and white ribbons. He was drinking coffee, his own brew, the haunting chaser, but it tasted different. He was staring at his desk, at the spot where he had placed his palm, the spot that had unlocked the key. He felt sick. He had not slept in 3 days. Not really. When he closed his eyes, he did not see Malakar, or the Kestrel station. He saw the black grid of the Shadow Fleet. He felt the cold, absolute power that had surged through him, the power to quarantine a station, the power to convene the galaxy, the power to demand anything. He had told the galaxy he was not Malakar, but the power he had used. It was the same. It was absolute. He had forced an admiral to stand down. He had forced a civilization to listen. He had, in his own way, held a gun to the head of the system, a gun loaded with law instead of particle beams. Was there a difference? You are going to wear a hole in that desk if you keep glaring at it. He looked up. Seraphine was standing in his doorway. She was not announced. She had no silver guards. She was just There. She was wearing a simple gray diplomatic robe, not her imperial dress. Her sapphire halo was a soft, gentle, almost transparent blue. "Your Highness," Alex said, standing up, knocking his chair over in his haste. I was not. My apologies." "Sit, Alex," she said, a small smile playing on her lips. She walked in and, to his utter shock, picked up his spare coffee mug, the one marked Embassy Property, and held it out. "I was curious if you would share." He stared at her, then at the mug, then at his coffee pot. I do not think. It is not. It is not very good. It is, bitter." "I am the Empress of the Aurelian Corps," she said, her voice dry. "I have spent the last week in budget meetings with Lord Valerius. I know, bitter attaché. Please, pour the coffee." He did. His hand was shaking slightly. He handed her the mug. She took a sip. Her eyes widened, just a fraction. She coughed, a small, delicate sound. "Oh," she said. "Oh, my, that is very robust." "Haunting chaser," Alex said, sitting back down. "Indeed," she said. She took another, more determined sip, and then sat in the simple guest chair. "It certainly chases sleep. And possibly small animals. But I see its appeal. It is definitive." They sat in silence for a moment. The sounds of the healing city drifted up from the plaza. "You have been avoiding me," Seraphine said. Not as an accusation, but as a statement of fact. "I have been busy, Your Highness," Alex said, looking at his desk. "The decommissioning. The reports." "You are a terrible liar, Alex," she said, her voice soft. "You are not a diplomat. You are not a clerk. You are the executor. And you are, I think, terrified of it." He looked up. His eyes met hers. "I did it," he whispered. I liked it. The power. The clarity. Making Reyes stop. Locking down the station. Forcing Malachar. I felt clean. And then, afterward, I felt like him. I felt like a monster. A monster, Seraphine said, who saved 10 billion people, a monster who refused vengeance when it was offered to him on a galactic platter. A monster. Who held my hand. When I told him I was responsible for 5,000 deaths, Alex flinched. "Seraphine." "You," she said, leaning forward, "are an idiot. A very noble, very brave, very human idiot. You are afraid of the power." "Are not you?" he countered. "You are an empress." "I am," she said. "I am also just me. But I have learned something in the last few days. Alex, from you, from all of this." She set the coffee mug down. "Malachar saw power as a hammer. He thought he could forge an empire with it. But you showed me something else. Power is not a hammer. Power is a scalpel. It is a precise, terrifying, and necessary tool. In Malachar's hand, it was a butcher's knife. In yours, it saved us. It excised the rot. It matters. Whose hand holds it? Alex." He stared at her, at the small, strong woman who had faced down her entire government. "A scalpel," he said, testing the word. "A scalpel," she confirmed. "And, like any good surgeon, you are allowed to be exhausted after the operation. You are allowed to be human." He let out a long, shuddering breath. He felt lighter. I think I owe you a new mug, he said, nodding to the haunting chaser. She smiled. I think you do. She stood up. The fleet, most of it, is leaving. This afternoon. I know, Alex said. Admiral Reyes is eager. She is a hammer, too, Seraphine said. But you have shown her. There are other ways. You should see them off. As the executor, I think I will see them off as the attaché, Alex said, a small smile of his own. The clerk, the coffee maker, it is a better fit. Perhaps, she said. She walked to the door. Alex, Your Highness, my new Humanity Council, it is very serious, very ethical, very boring. It sounds very important, Alex said. It is, she agreed. But I was thinking, it needs a human touch, a permanent, special envoy from the Alliance, someone who understands both sides, someone who is good at correcting oversights, and who makes terrible, terrible coffee. He looked at her, his heart suddenly hammering in his chest for a reason that had nothing to do with the key. Seraphine, he said, are you offering me a job? I am offering you a new desk, she said, her sapphire halo twinkling. It has a much better view. Think about it. She turned to leave. By the way, she added, not looking back, the jamming on the Kestrel station, my engineers, they have been studying your shadow grid's frequency. They say it is a very complex, very elegant signal. Very difficult to interfere with. Alex frowned. I suppose it is. They also said, she continued, that the emotional signal between two allies is apparently even harder to jam. She walked out. Alex sat stunned for a long moment. Then, for the first time in a week, he laughed. A real, actual laugh. The withdrawal of the Earth Alliance fleet was a sight the galaxy would talk about for decades. It was not a retreat. It was a transfer of care. The massive, gray dreadnoughts and carriers pulled back, one by one. But they left behind a dozen ships. The white and red-marked hospital ships, the mobile academic stations, the engineering and relief cruisers. As the flagship, Admiral Reyes's command prepared for the jump. She opened a channel to the embassy. Alex, Sanaa, Okoye, and Seraphine stood on the embassy's main balcony, watching. Reyes's face, carved from granite, appeared on a large screen. She looked not happy, but not angry. She looked respectful. She nodded, once, at Seraphine. Your Highness, she nodded at Sanaa and Okoye. Doctor, Commander. Then, her eyes settled on Alex. Executor, Attaché, Mercer. Alex braced himself. Your haunting chaser recipe, the Admiral growled. You are sending it to my mess chief. My people, they have earned it. Alex blinked. Sir, you held the line. Mercer, Reyes said. It was the wrong line. But you held it. And you were right. Now, get back to work. Reyes out. The screen went blank, and the last great ship vanished in a silent flash of blue. That night, the Spire hosted a dinner. It was not a state function. It was, Seraphine had insisted, a working meal. It was held in one of the lower, warmer halls. Seraphine's silver guards, the ones who had fought on the Kestrel station, sat at a long table, across from them. were the sailors and engineers from the remaining Alliance relief ships. It was, for the first hour, terribly, painfully awkward. The Silver Guards sat ramrod straight, their halos a uniform, polite gold. The Alliance sailors, used to cramped mess halls, fidgeted and whispered. Then Alex, who was sitting at the head of the table with Seraphine, Sana, and Okoye, stood up. He was holding a coffee pot. I am told, he said to the room, that our hosts are curious about human culture. He walked over to the lead Silver Guard, the young captain who had taken back the station. Captain, my compliments. I call this the Executor's Blend. It helps. With long meetings. The captain, looking utterly terrified but honor-bound, accepted the steaming mug. He took a sip. His golden halo instantly flashed a brilliant, violent, panicked shade of green. His eyes watered. He sputtered. And then he grinned. It is robust, he declared, his voice a rasp. The room exploded in laughter. An hour later, the tension was gone. An Alliance engineer was in a heated, friendly argument with an Aurelian scholar about warp field harmonics. But the real contest was at the main table. The verse, it must be Lightborn. An Aurelian guard was trying to explain to a laughing Alliance sailor. The light poetry. It does not rhyme. It resonates. You must feel the color. I am feeling it, man. The sailor laughed. I am feeling blue like my shoe. Seraphine leaned over to Alex, her voice a low murmur under the happy din. They are butchering 5,000 years of our poetic tradition. And they, Alex murmured back, pointing to where Okoye was politely declining a third mug of Alex's coffee, are poisoning your captain of the guard. I think we are even, she smiled, a real, unguarded smile. I think we are just getting started. It was much later. The embassy was quiet. Alex was in his new office, finally, packing up. He was moving to the spire. The special envoy post was official. He was just turning off his terminal when Ariadne's voice, calm and smooth, filled the room. Alex, she said. She had never ever used his first name without a title. Ariadne, he said, stopping. What is it? I have been housecleaning, she said. In the deep archives, the ones Malachar tried to erase. And, Alex said, a cold, familiar feeling creeping back into his chest. He was not acting alone, Ariadne said. His mercenaries, his funding, the Mark IV, they were supplied by an outside entity. What entity? Alex asked. In his most secure, most encrypted, shielded file. The one he thought was deleted. I found this, she said. A string of coordinates appeared on his screen. Not a place. Not a planet. A void. A patch of dark, empty space. Far out on the rim. I do not understand, Alex said. Me neither. Alex, Ariadne said. But the encryption, the tradecraft, it is very, very good. Better than Malachar. Better than, well, almost better than me. Who? Ariadne. The file was not labeled mercenaries, the artificial intelligence said. It was one word. A corporate registry. Consortium null. The name hung in the quiet of Alex's new office in the spire. It felt cold. He looked at the coordinates Ariadne had displayed. A patch of empty, starless black, and he felt the same chill he had experienced when the Earth fleet first blotted out the sun. This was something different, something older. "Ariadne," he said, his voice low. "How long have you been analyzing this?" "Since the tribunal concluded, Alex." The artificial intelligence's voice replied. It was just the two of them, in his new, high-ceilinged room. He was still the special envoy, and the title felt both comfortable and profoundly fraudulent. "I have been rebuilding Malakar's most secure files from data fragments." He was meticulous and terrified. He was not just wiping his own actions. He was wiping the actions of his sponsors. "Consortium null," Alex repeated. "A corporation, a designation," Ariadne corrected. "A holding company for other holding companies. They are ghosts. They have no headquarters. They have no public-facing leadership. They just have assets. In every major empire, including our own, they appear in procurement logs for centuries. They sell evolutionary drivers." "Weapons," Alex said. "Worse," Ariadne replied. "They sell conflicts. They believe that peace is stagnation, that civilizations, like species, only evolve through pressure, through war. They are, in essence, a corporation that invests in extinction, and Malakar, he was their newest client." "They funded him," Alex felt the blood drain from his face. "They gave him the Mark IV. They are the ones who wanted this war." "They wanted this outcome," Ariadne said. "A system destabilized, two charter signatories at each other's throats, a perfect market. Malakar was just a tool, a useful, patriotic, furious tool. But he was not the architect. He was just the buyer." Alex sat down. The beautiful, resonant view of the healed city, with its white and black ribbons fluttering, seemed to mock him. They had not won. They had just swept the floor. They had captured the local franchisee, while the home office remained untouched, watching them from a patch of dead, empty space. "What else?" Alex asked, his voice hollow. "One more thing," Ariadne said, her voice becoming hesitant, a quality Alex had never heard in her. "The Nightingale. The reason they targeted it. Malakar's reason was Seraphine's signal. Her attempts to save the orphans. It was a perfect piece of emotional leverage. But it was not their reason." "Whose reason, Ariadne?" "Null's," she said. "The Nightingale was not just a hospital ship, and it was not just carrying orphans. It was carrying a package, a high-security data vault, embedded in its main reactor shielding, completely off-manifest, placed there 150 years ago." Alex went cold. "Ariadne, what was in the vault?" "I do not know," the artificial intelligence said. "The ship's destruction was total. The vault was designed to be erased if the ship was compromised. The Nightingale was a dead man's switch." "A package," Alex whispered. 150 years ago. They targeted the Nightingale, not just for Malakar, but for something else. Something old." He stood up. "Ariadne, keep digging. Do not tell anyone. Not Sana, not Okoya, not yet. I need to see the Empress." The signing of the Nightingale Accord was a global holiday. It was held in the Great Plaza, under the open, clear sky, the remaining Earth ships, the white and red relief vessels, hung in orbit, not as guardians, but as witnesses. Empress Seraphine, in her full formal robes, her sapphire halo a brilliant, steady blue, signed the document with a stylus carved from quartz. Beside her, Alex Mercer, in the simple, dark blue uniform of an Alliance special envoy, signed his name. The accord was simple and profound. "Any medical vessel, from any charter signatory," that entered Aurelian space would, from that moment forward, be granted a full, ceremonial honor guard of Imperial silver-class vessels. They would not be protected. They would be honored. It was a subtle, Aurelian shift in language, a shift from defense to reverence. The crowd, a sea of Aurelian citizens and Alliance crew, erupted in a roar of approval. White and black ribbons were thrown into the air, a monochrome storm of healing. Later, in the quiet, logistical chaos of the new Joint Corps headquarters, Alex was trying, and failing, to calibrate a new coffee synthesizer. This one was Aurelian. It had resonance settings. "You are going to break it, you know," Dr. Sanaa Patel's voice came from the doorway. She was in her medical blues, a data tablet under her arm. And she looked happy. Tired, but happy. "It will not infuse," Alex grumbled, tapping a glowing panel that chimed pleasantly and did nothing. "It just resonates. I do not want resonant coffee. I want angry coffee." Sanaa laughed, a real full laugh. "You are the special envoy to the Aurelian Corps. You are the executor of the Charter Key. And you have just been defeated by a kettle. It is profoundly human." She walked in, her face softening. "You have decided. Then you are staying. For good." Alex stopped fussing with the machine. He looked out the window, his new, permanent window. The post is important. The Humanity Council, Seraphine. She needs a perspective. Someone to remind her of the bitter bean water, I suppose. "Right," Sanaa said, her smile becoming a little too wide. "The perspective. The bitter bean water. It has nothing at all, to do with, say, the Empress." Alex felt his face flush. "Sanaa, that is not diplomatic." "Oh, I am not a diplomat." "Alex," she said, tapping him on the chest with her data tablet. "I am a doctor. I am trained to spot symptoms. And you, my friend, you are symptomatic. It is acute." "She is an Empress," Alex said, his voice quiet. "And I am just me." "You," Sanaa said, her voice turning serious, "are the man who held her hand. You are the man who did not burn her world. You are the man who... Well, you are you. And she is not just an Empress. She is a woman. A very smart, very strong, very curious woman, who coincidentally happens to like your bitter bean water." She smiled, a gentle, kind smile. "Do not overthink it, Alex. For once in your life, just be the special envoy, in all capacities." She turned to leave. "Oh, and by the way, the coffee machine, you have to hum at it." "You have to what?" Alex asked, horrified. "You have to hum," Sanaa said, not looking back. "The note of true blue, or something. It aligns the flavor crystals. Have fun, envoy." She left him alone, staring at the coffee machine in utter more profound defeat. He was in the sensory garden that evening. He had asked Seraphine to meet him. Away from the council, the doctors, the guards. She came alone. She was in a simple, silver robe, her halo a soft, twilight blue. The garden was quiet, the chimes muted, the scent cords a low, pleasant hum of sandalwood and ozone. "Alex," she said, her voice a quiet melody. "Or should I say special envoy? It is very official." "I prefer Alex," he said. He realized, nervous. He had faced down a fleet, a tyrant, a galactic tribunal, and this small woman, in a garden. She terrified him. "Good," she said, coming to stand beside him. "I prefer Seraphine. Your Highness is so resonant." He smiled. "The coffee machine..." "I know." They stood in silence for a moment, listening to the garden. "Ariadne," he began, his voice low. She found something. Malachar. He was not alone. He was funded by a group called Consortium Null. Seraphine's halo flickered, just once. I have heard the name, in the deep archives. A shadow bank. My ancestors warned against them. The men who sell the rain, and then the flood. They are still out there, Alex said. This is not over. I thought you should know. She turned to him. I knew it was not. Malachar was a symptom, not the disease. And I have something for you. She reached into a fold in her robe. My Humanity Council. It has its own traditions. And as its first special envoy, you are entitled to this. She held out her hand. On her palm was a small, smooth, dark blue crystal. It seemed to drink the light. It is a truth stone, she said, her voice a whisper. From the Imperial Archives, in the old days, it was given to the one person the Empress could trust, the one person who was allowed to speak the unresonant truth. Even in open court, it is a shield. It means you are heard before all others. She held it out to him. He looked at the stone. He looked at her. Seraphine, I cannot. You must, she said. You are my truth stone, Alex. You have been since you walked into this garden and complained about the noise. He slowly, gently, reached out and took it. It was warm. It pulsed, with a low, slow light. Thank you, he whispered. No, she said. Thank you. And then the moment was broken. A new, urgent voice. Alex! Seraphine, I must interrupt. It was Ariadne. She was broadcasting everywhere. Into Alex's comm. Into Seraphine's personal channel. Into the garden's sound system. Ariadne, Alex said, his hand closing around the stone. What is it? What did you find? The nightingale. The artificial intelligence's voice was tight. The package. The vault. I was wrong. It was backed up, not by us. By them. Them, Seraphine whispered, her face pale. The first Empress, Ariadne said. Your ancestor. The nightingale was a failsafe, a repository. The vault was not from us. It was for us. Ariadne, what was in the vault? Alex asked. A cold, terrible dread rising in his throat. A memory. Alex, a copy, a control copy. The true, unredacted, original version of the Aurelian Oath. Alex stared at Seraphine. She looked confused. But we have the oath. You found it. In the archive. No, Alex said. The truth hitting him like a physical blow. He remembered the quartz slab he had taken from the archive. No, Ariadne. I have the oath, right here. No, Alex. The artificial intelligence's voice was filled with a terrible, cold, digital grief. You have the public version, the edited version, the story, the one that Malachar left for posterity. What are you saying? Seraphine whispered, her hand going to her throat. The original oath, Ariadne said, her voice shaking with the processing load. I found the transfer log. From 150 years ago. Your ancestor gave it to the Earth Alliance, to the Nightingale's sister ship, for safekeeping. She knew that one day her own people might lose their way. She knew that one day they might forget the real debt. Alex felt the truth stone in his hand. It was burning. Ariadne, he said, his voice a rasp. What is the real debt? The public version is a story of gratitude, Ariadne said. Thank you for shepherding. But the original vault copy. It contains the ship's logs. The Aurelian ship's logs. And, Seraphine cried, her hands fisted. And the Aurelian ship was not crippled, Ariadne said. It was fleeing. It was running from a crime. The first Empress was not a pioneer. She was an exile. She had broken her own oath to her people. And the Wanderer, the primitive Earthship, it did not find her. She hired it. She paid it to protect her, to hide her, to save her from her own past. The garden was silent. The chimes had stopped. Seraphine was ashen. Her sapphire halo was gone. "The nightingale," she whispered, her voice a ghost. He knew. Null knew. Malachar. He wanted to erase the story, but Null wanted to erase the truth, the proof, the real debt, the fact that our empire was founded on a lie, a human favor, a human secret. She looked at Alex. Her eyes were empty. "We are not noble," she whispered. "We are not ancient. We are just debtors. We owe everything to you, to your kindness, to your silence. We did not just owe you gratitude. We relied on you to be our conscience, to hold our own truth for us." She sank to her knees. The strong, brilliant Empress was just a girl, kneeling in a garden of lies. Alex did not move. He stood there for a moment. The executor, the clerk, the envoy. Then he knelt in the dirt in front of her. He did not touch her. He just knelt. "No," he said. His voice was not resonant. It was not key-cold. It was just his. "No, Seraphine. You are not debtors. You are not liars. You are descendants of a woman who was smart enough to know that empires forget, that power corrupts. She was smart enough to trust us, to trust humanity, to hold the truth for you." He reached out. He did not offer his hand. He gently touched her face. His fingers were warm. "That memory," he said, his voice soft. "That truth. It was a burden. Now it is a weapon. Our weapon. Against Null. Against all the men who want us to forget why we are better together." She looked up at him. Her eyes were filled with tears. But behind the tears, a new light. A sapphire light. "We will not let them take it," she whispered. "This memory. This truth. We will not let it be stolen again." "No," Alex said. He smiled. A real smile. "We will not. We will hunt them. We will find them, starting with that patch of empty space." They stood, together, under the clear Aurelian sky. The final image, a new relief ship, a joint Aurelian Alliance vessel. Its hull was painted half white and half black. It left the port on its first mission, a medical run, and on a private channel, a secure line, between a special envoy and an empress. Alex's voice. He was smiling. "If they touch another hospital ship," he said, his voice light, but hard as stars, "we will black out the entire galaxy."